Namaste. Today I'm speaking with Dr. Shaji Kudiyat. He's basically he's based out of India, but he has got his presence across the globe, and he's been into into service since 3 decades right now. He has a special kind of a treatment method, which he says it is very effective for lifestyle disease, especially the cancer. He's just have a merge with modern science and homeopathy and a holistic approach, combining all these things, which he thinks that we can have a remarkable change in terms of dealing with all these lifestyle diseases. He gives speech across the world, in US, South America, India, Philippines, and all these places. And his website is drcancer.org, and he has a movement called Dynamic DSA, which we will have him talk about it in detail. Okay, so hopefully you will have some new knowledge from Dr. Shaji. Thank you. Dr. Shaji Kudiyat. He has got about 3 decades of service experience. In terms of homeopathy, he's basically a homeopathic doctor, and he's globally placed almost everywhere: South America, North America, India, Philippines, and all over. He has got some kind of a specific treatment method, treatment support method, predominantly into cancer support. Today we'll have some chat with Dr. Shaji Kudiyat. Get to know him first, and then get to know about his background and what he do and what is the kind of treatment method been doing since from, I would say, and I would like to introduce that to my audience. So here you go. We have Dr. Shaji. Dr. Shaji, I know how busy you are. So I would like to thank you so much to come into my platform and talk about yourself and what is the kind of work which you do. So I was just trying to little bit give some kind of an introduction about yourself. Why don't you just add to it, and then we'll go into the questions.
Thank you, Jinu, for this introduction, and it is a pleasure to share with a new kind of information I am introducing to the universe for the welfare of humanity. I am Dr. Shaji Varghese Kudiyat from India, and I am a homeopathy doctor, as you have already mentioned. And the most important thing I introduced to the world is a new scientific hypothesis called dynamic science. Dynamic science explains how the mind, vital force or soul, and DNA that forms the fundamental basic principles of a living human being, how they are
Mhm.
connected, how they are interconnected, how this connectivity help in a person alive in the healthy state during
Mhm.
disease development, and how we can utilize these energy components and the physical plane together in the curative management of diseases. And not only that, how these components are influential and interacting with the entire universe. So these are very fundamental, and today the present science is merely conducting researches in the physical plane alone. That is only one third of our existence and influence, and where the science goes wrong because of its incompleteness. And that is the
Mhm.
reason why many diseases like cancer, how they develop and what are the causes that produced it, are totally unaware for the present medical science. And that is a reason for their failure also. Because if you want to cure, you need to understand how it develops. If you do not know how it develops, then where will you, how can you design a treatment to reverse
Mhm.
the process of the of the cancer? So that
Mhm.
is the biggest mistake that need immediate rectification. So
Mhm.
a scientific furtherance from material science to holistic science is an inevitability of the medical science, especially in the research area. Then only things can be understood. And that is the problem. The transformation is not happening. And those who control the research, especially agencies like World Health Organization, are not taking much interest. And that is one of the reason why the World Health Organization itself is becoming insignificant and unable to manage the world, to make the world a healthy world. When I was studying medicine, they have a slogan,
Mhm.
health for all by 2000. But that didn't happen.
Now it is on a
Now we
decline.
have a more worse scenario.
Yeah,
But
it's on a
they
decline.
forget about it. But why we need to think why it is happening? Because they are a kind of deception, a deceptive world. They are doing some kind of deception and cheating of humanity when I look into it. They are protecting the interest of those who financially support them. But we all expect them to have some big mission and purpose of their existence, but that is not the reality. That is not happening. They are just representing those who fund them, where everything goes wrong. And those who are funding is mainly the pharmaceutical industry, and their main purpose is to conduct researches to identify a product which they can sell in the market to make
Market.
money out of it. So
Right. Right.
sometimes the solutions are so simple. The solution does not require even a medicine, because I am not against medicine. I am also
Mhm.
giving medicine, but sometimes just shift of your mood from one state to another can cure the
Mhm.
problem. But we are not looking into that area. So we are conducting biochemical study, but our biochemistry is totally influenced by the nature of our state of mind or emotions in our mind that we maintain. So when
Mhm.
we are in angry state, when we are in a sad state, when you are in a happy and comfortable state, in all these different states, our biochemistry are different.
Yes.
So uh, that biochemistry is important, but we need to understand those who control the biochemistry also. So it is simple. Just by altering our moods or our thought process and the concept and attitude that we maintain, that act as a software to develop and generate thoughts in our mind,
Mhm.
by adjusting and by correctly modifying or correctly maintaining to the natural and healthy perspective our concept and attitudes, we can
Mhm.
generate thoughts that will keep us healthy, along with the proper nutrition, rest, sleep, exercise. All these are
Exercise.
required, sunlight, all these are required. But the most fundamental thing is the concept and attitude that acts as a software where our thoughts are generated that influence our vital force, which in turn influence our genetic aspect, and all these are connected, and the genetical makeup actually influence our biochemistry in our body also. So all these needed to be understood in a big holistic understanding. Then
Approach.
only health and disease development will be understood. then only solutions for health problems can be correctly designed and implemented.
So, as part of your dynamic movement, I'm sure you will be touching across all these parameters, part of your support and treatment program. So, if somebody is signing up for that, how you go about, thereby it keeps anyone healthy, right? Which is not happening in the modern medicine arena. So how you, doctor, how you go about from your approach? How you go about if somebody is approaching, say, for example, if it is a cancer patient or something like that.
The first thing I do is give the proper knowledge to them,
Mm,
because before the development of cancer, there are changes happening in our DNA where a wrong genetic mutation or epigenetic change happen that lead to the cancer development. So the first thing I do is I call for the patient and the whole family, including their support group, and give them an orientation or a genetic counseling session whereby I introduce how cancer develops
mhm,
and who control our DNA, which lead to abnormal mutations and epigenetic changes that lead to the development of the cancer. And that is the most important thing. And
mhm,
that itself is so influential and curative, and that itself will liberate the patient due to total awareness about why and how things are happening. That knowledge will liberate the patient from the disease if it is within the reversible limit. And if
mhm,
it is in the irreversible limit, already progressed beyond the reversible state, then there is a problem where we need to make a much more concerted
ease
effort.
up.
There are patients who recovered also from that state, but that is rare,
Mhm,
especially if complicated with the wrong treatment. Then it is
mhm,
more difficult, especially if the progress of the cancer is into multiple systems, then the reverse become more difficult. So that is
mhm,
a scenario. But if it is in the beginning of that stage, still some of them get reversed. But if it is
mhm,
totally a multisystemic, then there is limitation. But we do 100% try instead of quitting, so that
mhm,
if there is a natural possibility exists, we seek them to achieve it through all
mhm,
means possible, through our knowledge, wisdom, and application of whatever needed available in the world at
mhm,
present.
mhm.
It's a
So
judicious management.
sure, sure. So once you start with the education program, what happens after that? What are the transitions after that?
Yeah, that itself is very curative and healing, because
Sure.
I can see so many patients and family members much relieved after the genetic counseling session itself, because
Mhm.
that nobody do, because all are panic. Even though
Yeah.
you consult oncologists or doctors, they are not aware. The entire treatment for cancer today in the world happens just in the destruction of the tumor associated with the cancer. They achieve
Mhm,
it through chemotherapy, through radiation therapy, or surgery, or all of these. Whatever way they destroy or remove the tumor from the body,
mhm,
unless and until they identify and rectify the causes that produce the genetic changes that lead to the abnormal multiplication, that lead to the tumor development, the tumor still comes back. And that is
mhm,
what is happening. So the tumor, after the chemo, radiation, surgical removal, still coming back. So they don't understand, because the science knows there are mutations or epigenetic changes happen, but they don't know who controls our DNA that lead to the
mhm,
changes. Where a holistic approach and holistic and scientific understanding is required, and where the hypothesis of dynamic science come in to become a big player, and that is what we give in the first first time as the most important medicine for our patients, and that is the
Mhm.
most curative producing impact in our treatment.
So, doctor, if I may ask you, you're talking about a healthy mind, right? So, if you have that kind of a mindset, how a patient can transform from a very critical stage to a what is that transition? How it happens?
It needs a judicious management,
Mhm.
because when we understand the reality, then it is easy, then it is become simple. So, but it also depends upon the acceptability and the concept and attitude of the patient also. Because
Mhm.
today the world is running in an unnatural platform,
Right.
where so many philosophies that guide the human mind, especially in the concept and attitude level, are educated with unnatural, um unnatural, unhealthy philosophies, where wrong, unnatural thoughts develop that derange everything. So, how far we can understand when we listen to the group genetic counseling and come forward with the openness of mind to accept it and understand and follow the process. For example, one very important thing. Today, the entire world is governed by the philosophy of gender equality. But
Mhm.
from the fundamental, very low grade or class itself, we study that men and women are
They-
genetically, physically, physiologically, biologically, and psychologically different. But
exactly.
we already implement the philosophy that gender equality is the basis of everything what is happening in the universe. So
Mhm.
gender equality is scientifically incorrect. Gender
Mhm.
equality happens when we understand who we are and what are our differences, and we
Mhm.
maintain that differences to remain healthy, natural. Then only we become equal. But
Right.
forcing men to do what women are differently doing, and
Yeah.
forcing women to do what men are usually doing, will not make them equal. And now the world is giving opportunities for such a living condition, whereby men and women are forced to become unnatural, unhealthy, and abnormal when we become sincere and honest to these abnormal philosophical applications. It naturally happens. Example, our job opportunities. Our job opportunities are created based on this gender equality philosophy, where women become the basically the femininity is softness, smoothness, flexibility, and tenderness, because the
Mhm.
biological mission of a woman
Caring. Mhm.
is fundamental basic mission is to become a mother, and the motherliness needs pregnancy and childbirth. For that there should be softness, smoothness, flexibility, and expandability required, because when a sperm and ovum get united, it grows within the body of the mother to the size, form, and shape of a human being. So, for
Mhm.
the growth to happen, there should be softness, smoothness, flexibility should be provided for the uterine muscles and the abdominal muscles, and for the normal birth to take place, the same should be maintained for the cervix of the uterus and the vaginal area. Then only the baby can come out naturally. But the thought process, the living conditions are making a woman tougher individuals, mentally tough individuals. Physical strength is different from mental
Mhm.
toughness. When they become mentally tough, both the muscles and the physical body become tightened. So
Titan.
with the tightened body, the expandability is lost. When the child grows, it didn't get enough space to grow.
Mhm.
So when the very early, within the 3 months of time, the child get aborted.
Yeah.
So these are the big differences happening in the modern era, when wrong philosophy is implemented and we are forced to follow that, and our educational system is not pro-human. They are making human beings employees of corporations, and they are designed to make us employees to serve
A
companies,
particular thing,
corporations
yeah.
to do. So when they become sincere and loyal to career, and holding on to responsible job positions, where they become sincere and loyal to their job positions, which are decision making tough job positions, they unknowingly become tougher individual, whereby their feminine characteristics will be affected unhealthily, and that will automatically impact into the female specific organs, breast, uterus, and ovaries. But these
And
things are not observed or considered in a holistic manner today by the medical science. That creates a big drawback for the system. Because today
mhm,
the system is trying to resolve everything through medication. Medicines are required, but after maintaining the fundamentals to the natural healthy perspective. If the fundamentals remain unhealthy and unnatural, however, whatever level we medicate, it may create some impact as long as we have the medication. The moment we stop the medication, it will come back to the unhealthy natural level, unhealthy unnatural level. That is again making that person sick or manifest the reality at that state. So, in most of the time, the modern medication are creating a temporary artificial normalcy by suppressing the symptoms,
yeah,
by hiding the naturality. That is only a temporary thing. It
or freezing the nerves.
it appears as healthy only as long as the medication is there. The moment we
Mhm.
withdraw, it will come back, because the fundamentals, the concept and attitudes, and that remain unnatural and unhealthy. So a big paradigm shift is required for healthy existence of humanity, and
Yeah.
especially bringing mothers, women as healthy, naturally living mothers are very important for the development and sustenance of a healthy new generation.
New
And
generation.
this is the biggest
Doctor,
message that we need to convey to the world at large.
sure. Doctor, there are a couple of things just popped up. One is there is a new trend here in the US that see this is from somebody whom I know. They were just like playing together, and this kid, and they were just like having play dates and all these things, and suddenly she found out that she's gender neutral,
Gender neutral. No, no,
and
no.
she
Because
just declared
somebody,
it. Hmm.
see, these are the educations of the world today. They educate like that. They are creating gender neutrality, a topic, general neutrality, and discuss. So when innocent people, innocent new generation understand it, they may feel like that because they are creating a stimulus to think like that. So when
Mhm.
we think in whatever direction we think, we harmonize with that. There is nothing like that. If we can become anything provided by the educational thought process that we create in our body. So they
Mhm.
are creating wrong thoughts by wrong education. So when
Mhm.
we wrongly educated, our concept and attitude get modified, by which
Mhm.
we generate such thoughts. But by that will not help us to sustain ourselves as healthy human beings. That
Sure.
ultimately lead to dysfunctional human beings, unable to fulfill and perform our fundamental missions, responsibilities, and functional duties. That is why there is difficulty in pregnancy, childbirth, fulfillment of normal purposes, missions, and responsibilities expected of us. That's why, see, our women used to give birth at home only naturally. But today, when we modified our education, we modified our philosophy of thinking with the wrong philosophical education we are giving to the new generation. We are fearful of giving normal birth, or we are afraid of it. and we are unable to do that at home. And even the maximum high tech hospitals available in the world are not even enough for that. There are functional degenerations, autistic children, transgenders are developing, and congenital deformities are developing. All these are beginning with from the mother's womb, due to the unnatural, unhealthy thoughts that we educated to the mother during her younger days and later on in her life, through the media, through the education system, through
Wrong
various
parenting.
wrong parenting means because the parents are also educated like that.
Mm.
So this education system where a natural philosophy is given, educated, and especially through social media, through television, through the serials and movies we create, there are multiple sources of educating the world. So all those the areas are corrupted now. And some people, I understand some area where people intentionally corrupt the human being for various reasons.
Mm. So we will come to that one by one, Doc. So the reason why I'm asking this question is, see, we've been seeing that the medical industry, whether it is in Asia or in the West, we are seeing high tech technologies, high end surgeons, and there is a lot of medical universities doing research, $1 trillion budget for research and development and all these things. But the kind of diseases and the thing, it is not reducing, right? It is just increasing, and it is like you said, it is mutating, and it is coming to a situation where there are a lot of unknown diseases popping up. Why it is like this?
Because the fundamental research is incorrect, because their intention of conducting researches is to do their business, not to help
Mm,
humanity to survive healthily. But
mhm,
that is why the dual personality, a anti-social personality exists
mhm,
here, and they live with that, where they look at their business interest than healthy existence of humanity. So they
mhm,
create diseases by wrong education, and that sustains. Nobody is caring why and how things are happening. All are interested in the outcome, where more diseases are produced and more opportunities to sell their medicines are produced, and to sustain their business interest is created. And that is the way the present world is thinking. And unfortunately, including the World Health Organization, who we believe are supposed to help us, are actually helping those who promote unhealthy existence and the promotion
right.
of unhealth to be to be very truthful and for our sad understanding.
Mhm. So, doctor, like I said, so when you say they, I completely understand. It is not one person or an organization or anything. It's a whole lot of a story there. But how it is? See, there are people who are just getting like exactly you said. There is a paradigm shift. At least to some extent, 10 to 15% of people, they are just realizing it. But we have a situation where we cannot implement what we have found out, the flaws. So, according to you, what are the flaws of the current medical system, and how we can, as a patient or whatever it is, as a common man, how we can take care of these kind of things?
Big paradigm shift is required. A de-education or relearning is required, and
Mhm,
we need to empty what we learned, and we need to
Mhm.
start thinking more naturally, logically, and more holistic, science based. Because
Mhm.
physical body is only one third of our existence, and that is not even, there are higher planes that control the physical function. It's very
Mhm.
simple
Mhm.
to understand. Because
Okay.
if we bring a critically ill patient to a high-tech hospital, we transfer to ICU, keep certain metal conductors to certain parts of the body, and wired connectivity is given through some processor, and we are connected to a monitor where we monitor some waves.
Mhm.
These monitor expressing that waves actually represent the presence of energy in our body.
Mhm.
Even though we may monitor all these energy waves in the monitor that represents the energy present in that living person, we
Mhm.
don't understand or look into how these energy components are connected to our health, disease development, how we can utilize these energy components into curative management. So, where a big paradigm shift is needed. These energy components are much higher levels of controlling factors that influence our physical functions, their involvement, and
Mhm.
their healthy, natural, pure existence
Mhm.
is very important for our healthy existence. So, we need to understand also that our
Mhm.
mental concept, our thought process are very big influences of that energy. So,
Mhm.
most of the solutions come from just understanding the naturality of our thought process by maintaining the correct concept and attitudes, where cure automatically happens, and prevention of diseases, especially chronic diseases, autoimmune diseases, lifestyle disorders, and such
Mhm.
things automatically happens, and conflicts can be avoided. Such things are there. For example, I will tell you one more thing. You look into the psychology books today. The psychology book studies everything about abnormality. But if you ask a psychologist what is a normal, healthy mind,
Doesn't know.
none
He
of
has
the
no
books
clue.
say anything about
He
that.
has no clue.
So, the purpose of a psychologist is to identify the abnormality and help that person transform into a normal, natural, healthy mental state.
Mhm.
But that is not even identified and defined. So, such a huge, big mistakes are happening. So, today, when we look into the world, what we can see is the psychologists are just to identify the abnormalities, and helping a psychiatrist prescribe medicine. So a psychologist's role today is identify abnormality and send or refer them to psychiatrists for them to prescribe medicines created by the pharma lobby. So
Yeah.
this cycle works, where the solution, the psychiatry drugs, they never cure, they
Lot of
suppress the
selling than
symptom.
solutions.
They
Lot of
have no,
selling.
that is, yeah, that is not a big solution. We need it only in extreme crisis situations. But
Mhm.
even for mild forms, they begin with the drugging that aggravate and that lead that patient to a more irreversible condition, making the life difficult and irreversible. So the solution never comes. So the truth of the matter is hidden, and that the world need to realize. So the interviews like this with the people like me, who were able to identify such truths to reveal this to the world, are big necessity of the time. And the world is coming, the world is realizing such necessities, and that is compelling the world for shift. And recently I heard that the newly elected and oath taken new president of America even withdraw from the World Health
Well,
Organization.
yes,
And
yes.
that is also all a result of such imperfections and deceptions of
Paradigm shift.
happened in the
Yeah.
past, and the world is realizing, and many
Mhm.
other countries soon follow them. Kenya
Mhm.
followed. I think Italy is also following them. I hope more and more countries will follow them, because if we don't sincerely and honestly look for the the truth of the matter, the other factors, the deceptions will be identified. We cannot deceive the whole humanity for a longer time. The truth will come out. Of the period where truth is coming out, so it naturally reveal the truth, whereby the wisdom prevail, and a paradigm shift will be forced upon humanity, and that
Mhm.
is what is happening today.
So, adding to that, doctor, see, I understand the paradigm shift and all these things, and which is happening, which is really good for the world, but it is happening on a very you know etheric level, very high level, and as a normal human being, an ordinary person, what he does is like he just walk into a clinic or whatever it is, wherein these doctors, they are, to be very honest, they function as an agent to this they which you mentioned, right?
Exactly, exactly.
So
Because they were
what they do
educated.
is they just blindly write prescriptions. And you see, when you just tell them some complaint, hey, I have this problem, you can see that confused this one in their eyes. They will just prescribe for some 40 to 50 different test, and all this, your blood test and this test and that, everything will test, they will test, and they will say there is nothing wrong. I myself is experienced. you know so how, maybe in your thoughts, how a significant change in this routine can happen?
It will definitely change, no doubt in that, but it will take some time. It is not an immediate thing, but the world
Mhm,
is realizing it. So we need to be patient for that, because
mhm,
the doctors are innocent people. They were educated in such a manner, they believe that is the only solution, so they think
mhm,
that. But unfortunately they are also supposed to think logically,
mhm,
rationally, and identify the mistakes and correct it. But none of them are doing, because they are becoming part of a system forced upon them. So,
mhm,
see, a doctor studied so many years, but whatever he studied, he never applied. Finally, the
mhm,
prescription is done when a medical representative who will be a handsome or good looking boy or a
mhm,
girl, who will
mhm.
be just a literature graduate or economic graduate or somebody
He will fall into
or
it. He will
something
fall
else,
into it.
and
Mhm,
they come eloquently show some brochures and posters, whereby they will tell, oh, you, this is the medicine for this, you prescribe this. If you
mhm,
prescribe, we have this much stock there in that pharmacy, we have this much stock in that medical store. If you sell this much, you will get this much incentives. So it is becoming more of a commercial. So the entire purpose is lost. Before, the
mhm,
patients also used to see doctors as god. Today, that godly position is automatically gone. Many patients see difficulty in trusting a doctor now, because when they sincerely follow the doctor, death is happening. Because what the doctors follows is simply following the protocols educated or given to them by the pharma industry, and they create protocols not looking at the welfare of humanity, but looking at their business interest to sell their medicines. And the doctors, they simply follow that. So what they
mhm,
studied, their common sense and wisdom, which they can apply, this is not happening. They simply become sellers of the protocols and the medicines developed by only physical level research, that is not holistic research
mhm.
products. So the solution never come. But they were
And
taught this is the only thing available in the world, so they
mhm,
honestly believe that. And there is if they, some of them will deviate from that, they will be heavily bombarded and even eliminated from that group, and brutally treated. So they, many of them get affected and even become fearful and afraid about it. So they cannot speak out. They have no opportunity. If any of them speak out, they will be cornered, they will be sidelined, sidelined and they will be harassed and they
mm.
have no voice created. So even
And
the
also,
media, all of them are interconnected, and even the insurance system. And when you
wow, that's
join
a
the
different
insurance
zone.
system, that is another funneling
Mm.
to direct the patients to such doctors who follow the pharma industry.
Here
So
in the
all are
US,
a
doctor,
teamwork.
here in the US, if you
Uh,
just go to a clinic or wherever it is, the first thing they will ask is, what is your insurance? Whether
yeah,
it is compatible with our company. They
yeah,
don't even care. You die there in front of them. It's like that. They don't even ask you what is the problem you have. The insurance is the first call.
yeah.
So coming back, I understand the paradigm shift takes its own time and stuff like that. So your core area is homeopathic medicine, right?
Yes.
And there is a roadblock there also. You would be knowing very well, right? So there is some kind of a lobbying happening there also, where all these alternate medicines or homeopathic or whatever different areas, they won't let you come in, even though if it is very effective. It has been proven that in COVID times there are homeopathic medicines which were very very effective than the allopathy. Allopathy, there is nothing other than the crocin and all these things. There is no medicine at all. Uh, so, how to break in these barriers, Dr. Shaggy?
It requires education.
Mhm,
It requires public awareness creation. So
mhm,
everybody has a role to play there. We, I myself, developed an international forum for promoting homeopathy
mhm,
during COVID times. After understanding the role of homeopathy in the prevention, treatment, and rehabilitation of viral diseases and difficult diseases.
mhm,
But there is see, I was blocked by the Facebook for 137 days for telling the truth that homeopathy is beneficial for viral infections. I didn't
mhm,
even understood why they blocked me. Only
mhm,
lately I understood their
mhm,
social standard they skip. There are people, there are community standards by which other than allopathy, where they have no treatment, is the
mhm,
only treatment allowed for viral diseases by the WHO and many other factors who control.
mhm, mhm,
So when I speak from my experience and from my true genuine interest to convey the message to the world at large, they
mhm.
block me
Yeah,
because the truth
it's
doesn't
happening.
matter for them. The truth
Mhm,
doesn't matter for them. What
mhm,
matters them is their beneficial interest. So
mhm,
such a mentality should be
mhm,
modified. Because if those who control the world or those who do like that didn't change, they
mhm,
will also be ultimately affected. No doubt in that. They
mhm.
also need a solution because there is a saying in India, which is one of the most ancient cultures of the world, what goes around comes around.
Yeah.
So if you do such things, you are creating a wrong karma unknowingly, but that will definitely come
Mhm.
back to you. In Malayalam, there is a saying, Avanovan Tharthuna Kuril Avanovan Tanna Veerum. Meaning, if you created a hole to trap others, you will also one day fall in the same pit,
Mhm,
which you created to catch others. So no
mhm,
doubt in that. So that is why the biggest prayer of Indian culture, Loga
mhm,
Samasta Sugino Bhavantu.
mhm,
If you want to remain happy, comfortable, and healthy, you have the responsibility to make the entire world happy and comfortable. Then only you can remain happy and comfortable. And
mhm,
this philosophy is the most important philosophy genuinely needed to be brought to the world at large. And that awareness is very important. And the world leaders need to think about it and create a scenario where every human being around the world will be taken care of and protected and provided happiness, comfort, peace, and healthy existence, then
mhm.
only everybody will be allowed to live in such a manner. So if some
mm,
people think that we will make a certain group of people, we call it in the name of a nation or whatever, or religion or whatever it is, we will
mm,
keep ourselves good by exploiting others. It is never going to happen. So it is really the time to think globally and act locally, so that everybody's interest should be considered, and we need to unify humanity, and we need to develop the perspective of human brotherhood and a global culture, taking advantage of the tested and proven traditions and values of ancient cultures of the world, where
mm,
people lived for millions of years, has generated experience driven and tested and proven value systems, and uh, traditions that help us maintain better health and a better lifestyle, that will lead us to long living, healthy
mm,
living, peaceful living, with the maintenance of happiness, calmness, comfortness, and every aspect that is needed for our
mm.
happy existence. So that is what
True.
is needed. So today it is not happening, and that is the paradigm shift. That then another problem is that because of the wrong education, if we tell to the world the truth that is required, there is difficulty for the ordinary people and even the uh, world at
Acceptance
large
issue.
and the leaders of the world to understand that also. So
Acceptance
that
issue.
itself requires lot of distraction. So that is what is happening today. Lot of pain, lot of agonies, lot of wars happening, and a lot of diseases come. All these will ultimately lead to transformation by taking time. So I am not afraid of whatever happens. I am not fearful, because my role is to tell the truth to the world. Whether it will be accepted today or not is my problem. I am sure as long as the truth is truth, it will be
Mhm,
forcefully imposed upon everybody living on earth today, tomorrow, or day after tomorrow. Nobody
mhm.
can go beyond that. So I am not afraid. Whatever twist they make by their force, by their control of the world, will not survive until and unless we come to the ground realities, which is naturally capable, making us capable to enable us to live harmoniously. So it will come, and it is a cycle of events. So all
Yeah.
these man-made things or exploitation will change, and we are on the
Mhm,
process of that. But some destruction needed for that, then only people will realize it. So even the wars happening today, even the diseases coming today, even the pains happening today, I see it mean for that detection, that identification, and it is part of that process of transformation.
and there is something called as, you create a medicine and then you create a virus for it and then sell that medicine in
Yeah,
the
this is
market.
exploitative world. So
Mm,
there are a lot of reasons they do that. It is to influence, to continue their exploitation. But I am sure nature will not allow that.
mm,
Nature will never allow that. There is a paradigm shift happening, and that is why it is a system collapse that is happening. And
mm,
they are the forces that introduce different tactics to hide their problem. But however they try to hide it, there is a saying also, there is a philosophy that what you resist persists. The more you try to hide, the more
mm.
faster
The
it
more
will
it
comes
comes out.
out.
Yeah.
And that is happening. And that is
Mhm,
what WikiLeaks do. They are also human beings. So they are trying to suppress them. But it didn't stop them, because it is
mhm.
an inevitability. So the truth alone can survive. Satyameva Jayade is the
Yeah.
Hindi word for that. That is part of our culture from India. So
Mhm,
I think the cultures like India, which is more tested and proven, and the people living in this area who are exposed to such philosophies, has a greater role to play not to take the leadership and control the world, but in sharing such philosophies and the natural way of existence for the healthy, happy, comfortable, peaceful coexistence and harmonious existence of humanity. And me, as an Indian, identified this truth and the fact. That is the reason why I allowed to interviewed by you and why I'm talking like this, and decided to spend the rest of my life for this big mission of
Mhm.
educating humanity at large, whatever way possible for me, so that this will be conveyed through education, through information dissemination, creating awareness, and the leaders of the world and even those who are exploiting the world today become aware about it, and the ordinary people also become aware about it, so that the sufferings of humanity can be lessened to the maximum. We cannot achieve a perfect health or perfection in everything, but we
Mhm.
can try for the maximum. That is only possible. I hope it will come, even though it will take some time. It will come,
Sure.
and we are all hoping for that. But it is a cycle of events. It will come, it will change, it will come back again.
All right, doctor. So I understand you've been having a new program called. It's not new. You've been practicing from long time. DSA. Could you just before we close, could you just give some details about what is DSA and how people can associate with you in various of your functions across the world?
DSA is dynamic scientific approach. It is a new methodology for understanding health, understanding disease development, and a new design to treat diseases individually because it is patient specifically with the wisdom of dynamic science. That is a scientific basis of holistic science. So
Mhm.
DSA is a dynamic scientific approach. It is a new methodology based on holistic science, dynamic science, and it incorporates the entire components that constitute life and the
Mhm.
judicious application of surgery and everything available in the world accordingly based on the nature and situation of each patient, depending upon the reversibility or irreversibility, so that a judicious management of everything available in the world will be applied, so that every effort to bring back that life normal and back to health will be applied judiciously. That incorporates the group genetic counseling session and homeopathic medicine as the medicinal component, most importantly, because the advantage of homeopathic medicine is that it is a very important tool of medicine that can go beyond the physical plane to reach out the dynamic
DNLM.
components of our existence. And that
Mhm.
is very important because the
Mhm.
dynamic components control the physical functions, including the sequential arrangement of nucleotides in the DNA. So we
Mhm.
all understand all these things in a scientific manner. So we apply homeopathic medicine, uh, group genetic counseling session, yoga meditation. Yoga meditation are techniques that developed by one of the most ancient cultures of the world in India, Bharat, where
Mhm.
which helps in disciplining and controlling the mind to maintain it at the happy, comfortable, peaceful, and healthy state. So we incorporate all these traditional natural components, awareness and knowledge, and medical application of the most important higher plane, energy plane, along with the judicious application of surgery to
Mhm.
achieve the goal of reversing of cancer by understanding the path that patient took to grow that disease, and that it can give a complete cure if it is within the reversible limit, along with the support and close association and following of patient and the family who are supposed to do that function after understanding and perceiving the total knowledge about the disease development.
All right. Dr. Shaji, I really appreciate what you do, and I really appreciate you come in and share your knowledge and share it to the world. I thank you for your time, and we'll come back with more in near future. Thank you for your time, sir. Thank you very much.